The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Welcome to the Senior Show. I'm your co-host, Neil Himmelstein, here with Tim Kennedy. We are two wild and aging guys. And today, Tim, we have a special guest, Olga. Olga, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Olga Binyaminov. I am the owner of Exceed Learning Center. And above all, I just want to thank you for having me today.
Oh, no,
it's great having you. We love having exciting and interesting guests.
Yes. And what is it you do, Olga?
Besides doing the kids programs, the Regents Prep, tutoring, I also focus on adults and memory training. I am a brain coach. Yeah.
You know, my son was a brain coach for e-gamers. He got his master's in sports psychology, and if you look at Acer Computers, they might still have his blog. That was a while ago.
That's pretty interesting.
But it was interesting. Well, you know, sports psychology, half of sports is mental.
Yep.
And half of life is mental. And Olga, you may or may not know this, but you know, I do a lot with long-term care. Over 51% of all claims are due to cognitive. 51%. And when they started long-term care, that wasn't as much of an issue, but it's more of an issue now. Why is it that there's more cognitive issues now than ever?
Well, first of all, there's a lot less engagement in using the brain, like actually doing math, doing writing, doing physical reading, and all of that decreases your cognitive ability.
Interesting. So for seniors, what's a way that they can increase their cognitive ability? What is a way that they don't fall into this trap? How does that?
Well, cognitive decline actually starts at around 30. You don't have to wait until you're a senior to start improving that.
So, Neil, we're in full swing, man.
Yeah.
We're
Me too. I'm part of it. So there are things that you can do throughout your adulthood to actually prevent all that cognitive decline. Definitely nutrition. Nutrition is a big factor.
Yep.
The exercise. And I hear that a lot from seniors or adults. Oh, my knees hurt, or I can't do that. Simple exercises, even walking 10,000 steps a day.
That's challenging, by the way, because my wife and I try and do that, and it takes a decent chunk out of your day. Especially both my wife and I work. Then we go and eat dinner. Then we try and like pull ourselves, and then to put on a pair of shorts and sneakers, and then go out front and walk. It's a lot.
So in general, it's about 2 hours of walk.
Yeah,
but if you just think about it as chunks, not really doing it in one sitting, time. In general, if you walk 10 minutes after every meal, you'll get there. You'll get there.
And it sounds easier than going 2 hours.
It's a lot easier than just waiting for the evening after you're exhausted and start walking.
And And then my mother-in-law, Neil, she's 83. She lives with us. And I see her all the time with the crossword puzzles.
That's what I wanted to say.
And then in the other room, in our dining room, she has a table with the 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 piece puzzle set.
Amazing.
Right? Yeah. So like she's nervous, so she wants to make sure that she's staying ahead of the game a little bit.
This is so amazing. My grandparents are 90 and 87. My grandmother is turning 87 next month. That's what she does. My grandma does word search for as long as I remember her, and her and my grandfather play cards. That really helps with memory.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And now the cell phones are kind of tough, like you said at 30. I remember when I was a kid, I remembered everybody's phone number. Now I don't even know my own.
I don't even remember the name attached to the phone number anymore. Now I have to scroll through my cell phone to try and figure out what the person's name was.
Yeah, so we've trained our brains to be lazy.
Yeah.
It's like, ask Siri. Siri, I better not talk too loud. My phone might just jump in and say something to me. But it's become lazy. And, all this AI and ChatGPT. The good thing is I find my children and myself looking up things all the time. The bad thing is we're always looking up stuff and not thinking on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing the computer to think for us. So it's a real challenge.
So, Olga, how'd you get into this? Like, how'd you get started in this? And I mean, becoming a biochemist. I mean, that's some serious stuff, right? So, why don't you give us a little history on how you got to this part?
It's an interesting question. So, yes, I am a biochemist, graduated back in 2009. I am a college professor. I still work at Queens College.
What college?
Queens College. I've been there since 2009, just finished this semester. And I don't know if you're familiar with something that's called abacus mental math. I was always into learning and education for my kids. And one day I was watching this show on TV, and kids were doing something with their finger and figuring out numbers. So I said, I got to find out what that is. I had 2 kids at a time. I found a school that does this. I put my kids in there. My son was 11. My daughter, I think she was 4, just starting doing this. And they were doing that abacus mental math until my son finished the program. My daughter was 10 when COVID hit.
Wow.
And we didn't want to stop the program of abacus. So I hired someone that did it virtually. She finished the 10 levels at age 11. And then she said, okay, Mom, so now what? What am I going to do with this? You made me do all that. What am I going to do with that? I said, you're going to teach it. But who's going to hire an 11-year-old? I said, I got to do something about it. I searched a school that teaches abacus mental math. I found a school in India virtually, and I took the class to become an abacus mental math teacher.
Wow.
And
so you followed in your children's footsteps.
I followed something that they can do with what I've forced them to do for years. So then we started doing abacus mental math for kids. And that's where Brain Gym started, because I do it a little bit different than every other school. We don't just do the abacus, we do brain training. And as I continued advancing in my career, I came across Jim Quick and Dr. Amen. If anyone knows who these are the gurus of brain. And I started taking classes with them. And Jim Quick, I took some of his classes on brain and memory and how you train to remember better, and started reading Dr. Amen's books and started advancing with other educators. And then I said, this is it. We really need to know more about this. So I came up with a program for adults and started teaching a brain health class at the center. How do you improve that? So it really went on and on from there. I started adding classes for adults like piano and Scrabble and things that really advance your memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So do you teach abacus math to seniors as well?
So abacus math is really for kids ages 4 to 13.
Okay.
The component of abacus, which is the brain gym, is what I do with the seniors.
Gotcha.
So now when you're working with the seniors, do they come to you? Do you go to them? Is it done virtually? Is it done by Zoom? How do you handle that?
So I do either they come to me or I go to them. Virtual and Zoom is not the same for something like that.
It's not, obviously. Yeah.
It is doable, but I actually bring games, toys, things that you do physically with your hands, and that's a little bit challenging to do virtually.
I could see it, sure.
Yeah. So I had an interesting question. This goes back to your biochemist thing. So I've been reading a lot about peptides and how peptides are helping the brain. What can you tell me about that?
There's so many things that help the brain, depending on which peptides you're looking at. And I know there's so much research out there. A lot of these things are not certain yet. What I can tell you is that the brain works with anything that helps the brain grow. And the cells that grow in the brain are really depending on the food you eat, the exercise you do. So peptides are just a small component.
Okay.
Neil, what I'm finding out here, obviously, is that there's a common theme to everything. Eat well, exercise, sleep.
For sure.
Sleep
is very important.
Takes care of your body, takes care of your brain, and then everything else will hopefully come in suit, right?
Comes
and of
along.
course, stress levels.
And the stress levels.
We have such a big stress level, and if you know, there's a hormone that releases when you're stressed. It's called the cortisol. That is a silent killer of your brain. It really, literally kills your brain cells. So managing stress is a big component.
That's something I can learn.
So what would you recommend, real quick, because we're coming up to the end of this session, but what are some tricks of the trade that you would recommend for somebody like Neil, for Neil and I to do on a daily basis?
When you're stressed or in general?
Just in general, like
Just
some
in
brain
general.
exercises.
Puzzles, reading 10 minutes a day, looking into challenges like learning a new word. I have a subscription on an app that just sends you a new word a day.
So we got the music playing. Means we're coming to the end of the show. So, Olga, how can somebody reach you?
Olga Binyaminov, Exceed Learning Center, 516-226-3114, and you can look us up in the in the website exceedlearningcenterny.com.
Give us the phone number one more time and slow it down. Our brains aren't working that fast today.
516-226-3114.
And I am Tim Kennedy, your certified reverse mortgage professional, and you can reach me at 516-729-6040. 516-729-6040. And Neil?
And this is Neil Himmelstein, 631-647-4694, also host of the Main Street Code for Financial Success and owner of Main Street Planning Group, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Senior Show, where we have two wild and aging guys. You know,
Neil,
Tim,
man, we're getting better and better at this thing,
we're getting good at it. You know, change is inevitable.
So, you know, one of the reasons, Olga, why we started this show, because Neil has a show, Main Street Code for Success.
For financial success, right?
And I had a show a couple of years back. I was the host of It's Just a Mortgage, where I kind of just wanted people to understand that the whole premise of the reverse mortgage, it's no different than any other mortgage.
Yeah.
It's just how it gets paid, you know, when and how it gets paid later on in life. But we then came together and created this show because we wanted, you know, people to understand that, you know, in life there's change. You know, it could be job changes, health changes, divorce, loss of a spouse, all this different stuff going on. And now with you here today, you know, the cognitive decline, the Alzheimer's, the dementia, and how can we slow that down or possibly reverse it, right? Is that even possible?
Well, depending which stage you are in. Alzheimer's, if you know, that's myelin sheets that are deteriorating. So I'm not really sure about reversing that. But if you start early and you work with your brain at early age, as early as possible, then that definitely can.
Well, I'm impressed that you put your kids through this mathematics thing.
Thank you.
I was always one that appreciated math. You know, and I look at my kids, and my daughter sort of was wired the way I was. My son, the teacher gave me this formula, and that's how we solve it, like that. But don't you want to know that my daughter and myself, we do the same thing. We have to graph it out on the graph to say A plus B equals. You can't just tell me A plus B equals C. I got to graph it out and figure out the numbers. So I like the whole mathematical. I don't think the way we teach today is, especially in this country, is right. There's a lot of wrong things with it. They don't focus on
with these stupid things, right? With the cell phones and the computers, like even the math now, you don't do math anymore. You just press a couple buttons and the answer comes out.
That's exactly what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Right now, they don't even teach how you get certain things. You just put it on the calculator and you get the graph right there.
Right.
And it frustrates me so much when I tutor kids. Because this is not the right way. This is what causes early cognitive decline.
I agree.
I started in the mortgage business back in 1995, and you know we had a
Did you have a slide rule?
We had a financial calculator and a slide rule and all that. You know, now I press a button, I get a monthly payment. You know, I don't have to think at all. Yeah, it's crazy.
I never used a slide rule, but my brother had one. I was always fascinated by putting the things together. But I remember using the first calculator, the Texas TL65 or something. I forgot the number. And that was the first commercial calculator. And I don't know what grade I was in, but I was like, wow, you know. And
so if you did the 4, the 3, the 2 L's, and the O, you could flip it upside down and get hello.
Oh, really?
Remember those days?
Yeah. That's
there's
when you had to
nothing
think.
There's actually nothing wrong with all of those AI and calculators if you replace that with something else.
Right.
So, something simple like gardening is so great for your cognitive ability.
Oh,
and
my mother-in-law does that too.
And that cannot be replaced by AI. You got to go and physically do it.
I gotta have your mother-in-law on this show. I mean, come on, she sounds like she's with it.
She's very talented. Yes, she is. Yep. And she's fun to have.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So mental health is very important. So, you know, walking every day. Now, what I do when I'm in rhythm. I'm not in rhythm right now, but I would walk first thing in the morning because it clears my head. And during COVID, I invented my own version because we can nowadays. I have my walk and talk. 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm still doing my business, but I'm walking around doing 2 miles, 3 miles while I'm on the phone. And people think in my neighborhood I'm crazy, but so be it. You know, they think
who was the crazy gangster? Vinny the Chin? That he would walk around in a bathrobe talking to himself.
Oh,
but meanwhile he was sending out codes to all his people out there. But the feds thought he was crazy, but it was all by design.
Yeah.
So Neil, you got them all fooled.
I got them all fooled. So, and then after dinner, I thought is a great way to work off your meal. But what it does, it clears your head.
Yeah.
Reduces the stress and it all goes right back into that again. You know, especially I mean, you have a very
All the
stressful
endorphins.
job and a stressful life, and you know you got to manage that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah,
like we all
releases the
do.
Most of
endorphins,
us, yeah.
right? Yeah. Life can be complicated.
Neil is just a recent grandfather.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
His daughter and son-in-law moved back from Hawaii back into his house.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot going on here the last couple of weeks.
Interesting.
Yes, absolutely.
My daughter's getting married June 27th, so there's a lot going on in our house, right? So all of
Congratulations
this
to
is,
you as well.
you know, there's a lot of stress and build up, and we need to manage that.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Well, instead of downsizing, we're upsizing.
In the mortgage world, in the reverse mortgage world, Neil, we call that now right-sizing.
Oh,
Because it's
right-sizing.
not politically correct to say downsizing because you may be insulting somebody.
Oh.
So it's right-sizing.
Yes, we have to be politically correct. We're politically correct on this show.
Yes, we are. So, Olga, come on, tell us something. I don't know, Neil. What do you think? What could we share now?
Something mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling.
So what's the greatest person you've helped, and how have you helped them get from A to B?
I did help several men and women with their memory. Actually, my very recent client was one that moved from New York to, I think it was California, and she experienced memory loss. We had a few private sessions through Zoom, obviously, because she wasn't able to attend in person. But even little things like her social life. One of the questions I asked her, how's your social life? And she said, since I moved, it's really bad. I don't know anyone. I said, then we make it a business. You start going to clubs, to places where adults meet.
The interaction is huge. Yeah.
It's so important for memory. And even something as simple as driving. When you drive, when we all drive, we put the GPS. I don't think we even think where we go. And that also declines your memory because now you're not thinking as you're driving.
When I was when I drove with my wife for years, my wife would say, you're like a navigational genius because I always knew where I was and knew how to get out of places.
Not me.
Now with the GPS, I'm like a GPS idiot. But my wife is funny. She'll be at an intersection, and listen, it's a 50-50 chance you're right? Left, do I make a left turn or a right turn? 50-50 shot? She is wrong 100% of the time. I don't know how she does it. It's crazy.
That's like me putting something together, like furniture or something.
Well, when you put something together, you have extra parts. That means you did it right. It's only wrong if you run out of parts.
Right.
Well, to your point, these are the things you can do. Improve your social life. Start doing things that you have never done before, like driving without a GPS. Yes, make mistakes. It's okay. If there's one route to take a different route. Try to find another way to get to the same destination. Put that brain cell
But
in action.
if you have cognitive decline, please don't drive in my neighborhood.
That's right.
A lot of people, because I deal in long-term care and whatnot, one of the signs of early dementia, that's something you need to detect. And if you know somebody and you're with them every day, you may not even realize it because it's a gradual thing. But when they get in their car and they drive and they don't come back for a couple hours, I think that's the first sign that you
That's a major sign, Neil. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Or if you're like me and you miss your exit like all the time, that's absent-mindedness.
That's absent-minded, right?
That's not.
Because you're thinking about 20 things at one time. I'm sure.
That's
right?
true too.
What transpired today? What's going to go on tomorrow? And what's happening next week? I'm sure that's
Absolutely.
going through your head all the time. Is there a way for him to? Is there something he could do to help him with that? No. Any suggestions, Olga? What?
Not sure.
Any specific? What's it? A peptide? What were you saying before?
Peptide.
Any specific peptide?
It's
he could
funny.
use?
No, I was almost, I know I took her by surprise on the peptides.
You did. You certainly did.
Here's the thing with the peptides. So I'm concerned with all these people taking all these GLP-1s and there's a rave and they're losing weight and Charles Barkley and, what are the long-term effects? And you know what? If you're suppressing something long-term, there's got to be long-term effects.
There's got to be long-term
effects. And nobody's
effects.
talking about that. Now they've gone into this whole discussion about peptides and memory and this and that. So everybody's trying to take the latest pill. What I wanted to get back to is practicing everyday good habits of walking, doing puzzles, and all these things is what's going to help.
Yep.
Not the magic pill.
I think we all are so used to this easy way out. We
Right.
just want that magic pill. I want to
Right.
take that pill, lose those 20 pounds. But the consequences are really long term.
Yes,
Absolutely.
It is. Hey, Olga, I know you can't hear the music, but Neil and I can.
Yes.
Why don't you introduce yourself and tell people how they can reach you, because this is exciting stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you. Olga Binyaminov, Exceed Learning Center. We are located on Willis Avenue in Albertson, 516-226-3114, exceedlearningcenterny.com.
Awesome. And Tim Kennedy, your certified reverse mortgage professional, 516-729-6040.
And this is Neil Himmelstein, 631-647-4694. Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.